So AT, you talk, yep, ready to go. So AT, you talked about bringing hyperscale cloud to defense across the domains with all the benefits of commercial cloud services, but there still seem to be some barriers to adoption. What examples have you seen from other countries that have accelerated that adoption?
Yeah, that's, what a great place to start, because that's right where I left off in our dialogue that we had last time in the presentation about what's going to happen with hyperscale cloud offerings there in New Zealand very, very shortly. But, what I've seen is small defense organizations and companies, contractors out there are really punching way above their fighting weight, leveraging DevOps, even out to process integration and mobile development and applications that support military operations by leveraging cloud-enabled technologies. This is available, right now without a huge initial CapEx expenditure, and in our cloud offerings, we have pre-built models, low-code options for creating relevant solutions that sometimes become barriers to companies trying to enter the market. I point to a recently announced example out of NATO with this enriched search experience solution that was developed for the NATO Communication and Information Agency. Just a fantastic way to leverage pre-built code to bypass some of those blockers that sometimes occur with technology vendors. Even in the US, while discussions are being occurring around JEDI and the hyperscale infrastructure that the Army wants to adopt, they're still looking at edge type clouds that are fit for purpose to deliver incredible warfighting capability through the IVAS program with HoloLens 2 modified devices to accomplish certain tactical missions for U.S. Army. I can even point to a country here in Asia, a developing country that used some of our pre-built code in our Power Platform to build out applications across a legacy infrastructure that exists that wasn't sufficiently agile to address what they needed in order to respond to the current pandemic. And that is not just internal, but that's also in terms of leveraging collaboration with other agencies as well. And, you could take this out to even larger companies that are creating these huge digital development factories in order to provide and scale out capability for defense organizations. One of our best customers in the world right now is Thales in this regard.
Excellent answer.
If I could, Jane, I just got to.
Yes.
In each of these cases, I would just say that our Microsoft team works with developers and customers, whether it's our technology strategists, our premier services personnel, Azure engineers, even our NTOs, and we've got a fine one there in New Zealand as well. Russell Craig, one of the best of any of our national technology officers. So these folks are just incredibly skilled at working through blockers to cloud adoption.
Just as well. So next question, if you're ready for it. So sovereign hyperscale cloud makes sense in a fixed environment, but how can that capability be delivered for the mission outside the data center to the tactical edge?
I mean, this is the single most frequently asked questions that we get from operators. Not necessarily the IT people, but I'm talking operations and intelligence officers, field commanders are interested. How can I leverage all these great capabilities out to the tactical edge? And when you think about our rugged edge device portfolio that we've just announced as GA, a lot of those devices engineered as a result of the JEDI program, and the connectivity that we can provide now with some of our partners with private 5G networks. And now, with Azure Orbital being announced, even satellite communications, combined with that edge technology portfolio, I mean, you could see applications being delivered concurrently along with a single security and management control plane that can extend out to the tactical edge, that add even further goodness to this package. I think this sort of thought process and capability was really a huge discriminator for Microsoft when we were competing in the JEDI program.
Well, I'm going to keep the pressure on rolling with the next question. So as well as the modernization of NZDF capabilities, as we talked about in part 1 of the event, New Zealand also wants to extend the life of platforms and assets, which was mentioned in part 1. So how can Microsoft help with that?
Wow. Along with a lot of our ISVs and SIs, there is just this incredible of IoT across militaries around the world, to include the platforms that they fly, swim, or roll around the battlefield with. Because when you couple all of that data with the machine learning and artificial intelligence that is key to analyzing the vast amounts of data that is being created by these new weapons platforms, and also leveraging that data that exists in silos out there, really untapped from legacy platforms, you can arrive at all sorts of great solutions, old and new. I'm reminded, and I just love this example. I talk about it a lot of times with military customers to show, as an example, New Zealand Defence Force, a social media post by a young engineer working in a motor pool in New Zealand, leveraging the HoloLens device in a maintenance infrastructure, a facility that was built in 1906. I mean, you're talking about leaping ahead, using 21st century technology and modernizing infrastructure that was built over 100 years ago through cloud technology, a HoloLens device, and a Wi-Fi connection. I mean, come on, you can't get a more cost-effective, better way to show how technology can quickly bring you into an entire new generation of technology.
Microphone back on. So I'm going to crack on still. So the HoloLens example is a good example of how the Defence Forces have had to pivot ways of working as a result of the pandemic. What other examples of this accelerated digital transformation have you seen in defense organizations?
Yeah, I tell you, in the current situation, probably the most obvious answer is this modernization of the military workplace and the ability to deliver remote access and manage and control that work environment and the devices remotely. I think, like many entities, even US DoD, was faced with this huge challenge and an unprecedented surge and demand for remote access, people working outside of the office due to the pandemic. And to address this demand, we ended up deploying this remote work environment based on Microsoft Teams, and to connect military service members to the rest of the world. And we call this CVR, Commercial Virtual Remote, because it leveraged the government cloud. There was no specific platform that was built. We leveraged existing cloud infrastructure, and DoD employees were able to access M365, Teams, video, chat, document collaboration, all of that stuff. And it took less than a month to deploy. And by the way, they like it so much. It was supposed to expire later this year, as the pandemic winds down and people return to the office space. It got so much utilization, they've already signed up to renew it and keep it going, even when they come back to the office, because they want that remote capability. And oh, by the way, if you need an example that's closer to home, the Aussies just publicly announced a program that we've been working on there for some time to deliver, in effect, the same capabilities across their defense protected network called Project Vera, VERA. Look it up online. I think you enjoy the article.
Absolutely. So now we're talking about remote working, and I don't think we're going to see any change in quite a long time. So with so many defense personnel working online and remotely, cybersecurity is now back being even more critical. So can you tell us a little bit about the concept of zero trust networks, desktops, and communications?
Yeah, I'm glad you kind of touched base on this, because every military office that I walk into, this ends up being a topic of conversation. And of course, this idea of zero trust is a great security model that helps us deal with the complexities of this modern workforce, the mobile workforce, and it protects people, devices, applications, and data wherever they're located. You can't assume that everything behind the corporate firewall is safe. The zero trust model assumes that there's already a breach, and assumes every request and operates as though that request originates from an open network. So the principles in zero trust are verify explicitly, use the least privileged access possible, and always assume breach. And then if you lift this concept and apply it to devices, whether these devices are BYOD frameworks or organizational devices, and you link them with a virtual interface and then protect them with multi-factor authentication and network encryption, that's the real kind of zero trust model we think military organizations want to move to. You know, in a case like this, no organizational data is actually stored on the device itself. That's real security.
Jenny's magically changed.
Yeah.
Apologies, you had to run to the main stage, so I'll just take over the last of my questions.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
So and I'll talk about it from an NZDIA industry perspective also, because obviously
perfect timing.
It was good timing, wasn't it? Because I can hit you with the stuff that's important to defense industry as well. So obviously we're a fundamental input to capability. And Microsoft had these amazing relationships with the large primes, but how do you contribute to New Zealand national skills in cloud and how do you foster sort of relationships with a small to medium enterprise where we can actually add value and sort of come in under the primes or alongside the primes?
Yeah, this is a question we're increasingly faced with as we work more and more closely with several of our Five Eyes partners. Of course, New Zealand being part of that, and maybe the first example I might point to is actually with a local small company there in New Zealand that we've actually helped to provide some additional funding for them to continue developing a specific solution on Azure and Azure Stack. This has real implications, obviously, for NZDF. But when we're promoting a small or medium enterprise like this in this way, think of the potential this might have for opening, for opening this kind of company to gain access. Hi, Rod, how are you? To gain access into foreign markets. Okay, think about leveraging the Azure marketplace once the solution is completed, so that now this small and medium enterprise who could never scale out to sell internationally now has a solution in the Azure marketplace available for other defense customers to leverage. That is a great story for a small company with good ideas.
Oh, that's awesome. And we've got the final question for you is a bit more flippant, but it's one.
Can I add a little more to that?
Yeah, go for it.
You get the comedians going back there. I
mean, I just hear you, by the way.
You can hear, they can't hear me.
They can't hear you, but I can hear you, so you can say whatever you like.
I can talk bad about them then. we've got a fabulous team there. I just want to take this one step further because, about 2 years ago, Microsoft invested in GitHub. And if for those of you who don't know, GitHub is the largest and best repository for open source development anywhere in the world. This, again, was a huge value proposition for Microsoft as part of the JEDI competition as well, because 95% of the open source software that is provided to the US government and US DoD comes from GitHub. Only 5% comes out of our other global cloud solution providers. So again, this is a very important discriminator, and we have a fabulous GitHub team that supports Australia and New Zealand. And if you haven't done so, you guys really need to invite them to speak at one of these events, because I think small companies and developers will really benefit from that.
No, that's awesome. That's actually something we should definitely do. And certainly that acquisition got a lot of airtime. So I think we would be very keen to leverage that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another part of our Microsoft family, LinkedIn, that is doing so much right now. And I think you guys have actually had them in some of your sessions with skilling, and not just individual skilling, but looking at how do we upskill folks that are working in industry? How do we upskill departing veterans that might be leaving the military service? A lot of these programs are free, and they're certifications that come along with this skilling that have immediate impact for employability. And that is real value in a digital economy. And again, that's just part of that Microsoft ecosystem that we hope to bring to bear there in Australia. Our LinkedIn team, again, fabulous in Australia, New Zealand.
For us to think about with our RSA, our return services, and link that in as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So our final question for you. When people think about Microsoft, AT, I bet they don't think about. Finish that for me. When people think about Microsoft, I bet they don't think about.
Yeah, there is something that you could put to that sentence that people would jump on. I want to think about synthetic training environments. Unfortunately, when people think about Microsoft, they think about Xbox and they think about Flight Sim, but they don't think about the kind of capability that we're developing with some of our solution providers. That's gamified content, immersive content to help train and build out skills for very specific roles and functions within militaries. You want to build out a world-class cyber force? Militaries all over the world are standing up cyber commands. Well, guess what? My bet is NZDF, just like every other military in the world, is struggling to populate that force with skilled personnel who understand how to employ the latest TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures in order to defend their networks and defend their operating systems. We have solutions that take that, immersify people into virtual ranges where any network that can be virtualized, any operating system that can be virtualized, you can run penetration testing again, develop skills, individual, collective skills in terms of how to defend those defense capabilities. That's what people don't normally think about when they think about Microsoft. And we are, in fact, increasingly becoming more and more a cybersecurity company, as well as a cloud provider and a workplace collaboration provider, because our customers are demanding it. So how about that? Synthetic training environment.
That's fantastic. I'm going to hand over to John and Rod just to say some last words, but we really hope to see you back on our shores soon. It was good to see you earlier in the year, and so much has changed.
Yeah, I just want to get back. I've got a couple of nice little pubs that John and Rod like to take me to there when I'm in Wellington. Yeah, surprise. No, it's just such a great town. If I wasn't living in Hawaii, I would want to live in Wellington. Okay.
Excellent. I'll pass you over. The microphone is here, gentlemen. All right, thanks.
AT, how you going? So, look, I just wanted to thank you on behalf of Microsoft New Zealand. We kind of pitched early on. It's local folks with a global reach, and you've done a fantastic job. One, to help us out, and of course, funding the event, etc. And we've had 6 speakers across these last couple of days. It's been fantastic to partner with NZDIA, New Zealand Defence, MOD, JR's team. So it's been a fantastic event. So it couldn't happen without you. So thank you very much, and thank you for making Mark McIntyre available as well, because as soon as you were CC'd on the email, he was there, mate. So really appreciate that.
One of JR's questions was flat on zero trust architecture, and I know Mark McIntyre probably hit that hard in his session, because he is one of the best, and certainly it's also great to see JR again. That was fun. I'm glad he was able to jump in the hot seat there for a while.
Awesome. Cool. Hey, thanks, AT, mate. We'll sign off, and we'll hand back to Jenny to kind of manage the show from here. Thanks, buddy. Cheers, mate.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So, thank you, AT. Great to chat with you again, and we'll book you up for next time.
Absolutely. We want to be a real important partner in NZDIA, like we are in other partner ecosystems across the Five Eyes.
Awesome. So we're talking ideas 2021 already. JR's laughing at me. So we're talking 2021, and we'll keep owning this space and be delighted to keep working with you. So, and I'll be looking forward to see how much further everything's progressed between now and then. So.
Oh yeah. We're going to be well on our way to doing some great things there in New Zealand. And I know you guys are full of good ideas, so I look forward to the next iteration.
Absolutely. So thank you again. Lovely to see you, and we will see you hopefully sooner than 12 months. All good.
I hope so. Bye-bye.
Thank you.